monuments to forgotten lives, abandoned places. Each crack in their crumbling facades whispers untold stories, each echo a chilling reminder of a past lost to time. They are spectral echoes, these forgotten places, imbued with an unsettling beauty that both captivates and chills the soul. We've all felt it, that shiver down the spine when passing an old dilapidated house, windows like vacant eyes staring out at the world. The air grows heavy, laden with the weight of forgotten memories, and we can't help but wonder who walked those halls, what joys and sorrows played out within those decaying walls. There's an undeniable allure to these forgotten spaces, a siren's call to the mysteries they hold. But be warned, dear reader, for venturing too deep into these realms of silence can be a perilous journey. The past, they say, is a foreign country, and some places, once abandoned, are best left undisturbed. For within the heart of these forgotten shadows, where silence reigns and dust dances in the moonlight's embrace, lurk tales that will chill you to the bone. These are the stories of places where time has stood still, where the echoes of laughter have given way to the rustling of unseen things. Tales whispered in hushed tones, passed down through generations, each telling of encounters with the unexplained, of shadows that move in the periphery, and voices that call from beyond the veil. Join me if you dare as we journey into the heart of these abandoned shadows and uncover the chilling tales they hold. The old hospital loomed at the end of Harbinger Lane, a skeletal silhouette against the bruised twilight sky. Locals spoke of it in hushed whispers, their voices tight with fear. It had been abandoned for decades, left to rot after a fire swept through its corridors, claiming countless lives. Now the wind howled through its shattered windows, carrying with it the stench of decay and the faintest hint of antiseptic, a ghostly reminder of its former purpose. The paint peeled from its walls like scabs, revealing the raw brick beneath, scarred and stained with time. They say the fire started in the dead of night, flames consuming the building with a hunger that defied explanation. Whispers spoke of terrified screams echoing through the night, of patients trapped behind barred windows, their pleas for help swallowed by the inferno. But there were other whispers, more chilling still, of spirits trapped within those charred walls, their souls tethered to the site of their demise. Some say the fire was no accident, that it was a deliberate act, a mercy killing to end the suffering that allegedly took place within those walls. There were stories of a malevolent entity, a presence that lingered in the ashes, its eyes burning with cold, spectral fire. People spoke of seeing flickering lights in the dead of night, hearing disembodied moans echoing through the empty halls. The derelict hospital on Harbinger Lane was a place of palpable sorrow and dread, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the lingering echoes of suffering. It stood as a testament to the enduring power of fear, a place where the veil between the living and the dead seemed to thin to a whisper. High on a windswept hill overlooking the town stood Cranbrook Mental Asylum, a monument to despair. Its crumbling facade, once a symbol of hope for the afflicted, now stood as a chilling reminder of the horrors that unfolded within its walls. The asylum had been abandoned since the 1950s, shrouded in whispers of cruel experiments, inhumane treatments, and the tortured souls who were its unwilling residents. Locals told tales of patients driven mad by their confinement, their tormented cries echoing through the deserted corridors. They spoke of a doctor, a man consumed by his own twisted experiments, who met a gruesome end within the asylum walls. Now, his malevolent spirit was said to roam the halls, seeking retribution on any who dared to disturb the peace of the damned. The iron gates, rusted and overgrown with ivy, stood open like the jaws of a predator, inviting the curious and the foolish to venture inside. Those who dared to enter spoke of a palpable sense of unease, a feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The air hung heavy with the scent of decay and the ghostly residue of suffering. Scratching sounds echoed through the empty halls, and whispers seemed to emanate from the padded cells, as if the walls themselves whispered the tormented secrets they held. One story spoke of a group of teenagers who dared each other to spend the night within the asylum walls. They entered full of bravado, their laughter echoing through the desolate halls, but their mirth was short-lived. As the night wore on, the temperature plummeted and an unnatural chill settled over the building. One by one, the teenagers began to experience terrifying hallucinations, seeing shadowy figures lurking at the edge of their vision, hearing their names whispered in the darkness. Miles from the nearest town, down a winding dirt road choked with weeds, stood the Blackwood Farmhouse. Its once bright paint was now faded and peeling, the windows boarded up like the eyes of a corpse. The porch sagged precariously, threatening to collapse in on itself, and the roof was dotted with holes open to the elements. Locals told tales of a family that had lived and died within those walls, their lives tragically cut short by an unknown illness. The Blackwood family, once prosperous and full of life, had been reduced to dust within a matter of weeks, their cries for help unanswered and forgotten. The farmhouse had stood empty ever since, a grim testament to the swiftness with which tragedy can strike. But the Blackwood family, it seemed, were reluctant to leave their home, even in death. Farmers passing by late at night swore they saw flickering lights in the windows, heard the faint strains of music drifting from within. Some even claimed to have seen the ghostly apparitions of the Blackwood family, their faces pale and drawn, their eyes filled with a deep, unending sadness. One particularly chilling tale told of a young couple who had the misfortune of stumbling upon the Blackwood farmhouse late one stormy night. Their car had broken down just outside the property, and desperate for shelter, they braved the howling wind and torrential rain to seek help at the farmhouse. As they approached the front porch, they heard the distinct sound of a child laughing from within, followed by the warm glow of candlelight flickering behind the boarded-up windows. Joyland, they called it, but the name now dripped with irony, a cruel mockery of the laughter and joy that once echoed through its now desolate grounds. The Ferris wheel stood frozen in time, a giant skeletal hand reaching for a sky devoid of colour. The roller coaster tracks snaked through the overgrown landscape like the bones of a forgotten beast. The brightly painted stalls that once housed carnival games and cotton candy stands were now faded and dilapidated, their cheerful facades stripped away by time and neglect. Joyland had been abandoned for years, a victim of changing times and dwindling crowds, but the laughter of children, the joyous screams of thrill-seekers seemed to linger in the air, a ghostly echo of its vibrant past. But beneath the surface of faded gaiety, a darkness lurked. Rumours circulated of accidents, of disappearances, of a darkness that had seeped into the park's heart, poisoning its innocence. There were whispers of a carousel that spun on its own, its painted horses frozen in a macabre waltz, their jewelled eyes reflecting an unearthly light. They said that if you listened closely, you could still hear the faint strains of the carousel's music, a haunting melody that lured unsuspecting souls to their doom. And then there was the Hall of Mirrors, a twisted funhouse where reality distorted and reflected, where it was said that if you looked into the right mirror at the right time, you would see not your own reflection, but the face of the one who meant to harm you. One particularly chilling tale spoke of a group of teenagers who decided to spend a night in the abandoned amusement park, eager for a thrill, a brush with the unknown. They snuck past the rusted gates, their laughter echoing through the eerie silence, their flashlights cutting through the darkness like knives. As they ventured deeper into the park, they felt a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable chill that settled over them like a shroud. As they ventured deeper into the park, they felt a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable chill that settled over them like a shroud. As they ventured deeper into the park, they felt a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable chill that settled over them like a shroud. As they ventured deeper into the park, they felt a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable chill that settled over them like a shroud.